Milling Through History presents Obscure Olympic Events. The sudden rise and fall of Olympic breakdancing has certainly spurned a great number of memes and jokes throughout the internet. And yet, when we look at some of the more forgotten events from the Olympics, it is amazing to discover just how many things in the early days of the Games had once been seen as popular but have now gone to the wayside. As we look at these events, perhaps the most unique one is to start with the Intercalated Games of 1906. This particular event only occurred once and was intended to be an annual event every 4 years held in Athens, Greece, between the regular Summer Olympiads. In addition to this, the sporting events would have many of the same ones found for the Olympics itself, and their medals were recognized by the International Olympic Committee. But over time, since there only one game had occurred, they had lost their value and were no longer deemed proper Olympic medals. And yet this particular event did bring about one unique game that found its way to the Summer Games, but then it disappeared, and that was pistol dueling. Played in the 1906 Games and seen as basically just a non-competitive sport in the 1908 and 1912 Games, pistol dueling required athletes initially to shoot at a human silhouette that had a bullseye on its chest. The guns would be preloaded, and competitors would stand by a range officer. They would be permitted to fire a round before the range officer could count to 3. Now, as a result of this, the shots being fired could end up exceeding up to 100 rounds per minute. With a maximum score of 150, shooters would get 30 shots with a possible score of 130. In the 1908 Games, the rules were changed, where human competitors would stand off against each other and fire wax bullets to check to see their accuracy, poise, and control. Another unique game, which existed all the way from the very beginning of the modern Olympics in 1896, was rope climbing. It would be played within 5 Olympic Games, and was rather unique as the competition varied from anywhere between 25 feet in length ropes to 8 meters. Competitors would have to sit on the ground and use only their hands and arms to pull themselves up to the top at the fastest possible speed. Also unique to the early Olympic Games was tug of war. Played in 6 games, 2 teams of 8 competitors would have to try to pull their opposite opponents to the other side to win. If after 5 minutes no official winner was declared, then the team which pulled their opponents furthest towards their own line would be declared the winners. While some people argue this sport should be brought back, it would be unique to see how the rules would change. And yet, perhaps the most unique of all the Olympic Games to have faded to the wayside is that of Olympic art. This particular competition was seen in 7 Olympics and was awarded in 5 different categories: architecture, literature, music, painting, and sculpture. These competitions were known as the pentathlon of the Muses. Professional artists were competing in these events, and while the IOC has frowned upon professionals being involved in the Olympic Games, the competition itself would last until 1948. After that particular Olympiad, professional art was dropped, and starting in 1956, art would continue to be seen in the Olympics, but only as a cultural program. And so, while each Olympic Games tries to bring in new and exciting events to bring in audiences to view their event, the Olympics itself, we can only imagine what other programs will go to the wayside and new ones to take their place. But hopefully, these new ones will have a longer record than Olympic breakdancing.
For more information, please consider these suggested titles. Be sure to click on the left-hand side of the screen to subscribe to our show, and on the right-hand side for our latest episode. And we will see you again for the next episode of Milling Through History.